Hi and welcome to PerthTCG. My name is Josh and today you'll be watching a little bit of the PlayTCG site gameplay. I'm on the bottom of the screen. I'm running a Reshiram Emboar deck featuring Entei, everybody's flaming starfish face dog. And my opponent will be Bree. She's at the top of the screen there, and she's running a Tornadus EX Darkrai EX deck featuring Smeargle. Now I'm not really going to talk overly about the gameplay because it's kind of obvious in all cases. What I'm going to talk about now is the three Pokemon that I mentioned in Bree's deck, and I'm going to talk about why this deck setup is so popular at the moment. First of all, you got Smeargle there. Now you'll see Smeargle's only really there because it's got free retreat with the Skyro Bridge or with the Dark Energy attached, and it has the ability Portrait, so you can look at your opponent's hand and then get to choose any supporter there and use its effect. Effectively means that you can use two supporters a turn and refresh your hand constantly. That's all you need to know about Smeargle. The next thing is Darkrai. Now, you saw an Ultra Ball there, and Bree discarded an N and a Dark Energy to use that. Now, that's really good. She gets out the Darkrai with that Ultra Ball. Discarding the Dark Energy was important because then you can see the Dark Patch be used, so she can attach an energy from her discard to Darkrai. So, instead of just attaching the one energy per turn to Darkrai EX, she now has two on it. Now, you see the Smeargle Portrait. Yay, look at Smeargle Portrait. She gets to choose a supporter from my hand. Yay. Well, not really yay for me, I'm kind of depressed at this point, because I know what's coming. And she uses the Yoke. And then you see Tornadus EX come out. I'll talk about Tornadus EX a little bit later. I'm going to talk more about Darkrai at the moment. Now, this is all on Bree's first turn, and this is why Darkrai is so freaking powerful. The fact that you can discard Dark Energies and get them back and put them straight onto a Darkrai with your Dark Patches, or Junk Harm for Dark Patch. Now, when you Junk Harm for Dark Patch, it's even freaking better, man, because you can use Junk Harm to get rid of, like, say, two Darkness Energies and put them in your discard. Use the Dark Patch, Junk Harm for a Dark Patch, get it back, show it right back on there. The other thing that Darkrai has is the Dark-like ability, so any Pokemon with a Darkness Energy attached to it has free retreat. That's really freaking good, man. It means that Smeargle, you know, worst comes to worst and you don't get a Skyro Bridge down, Smeargle is a free retreater with Dark Energy. It's not a problem. You get to save your energy. The next big thing it has would be Night Spear, which does 90 damage to your active Pokemon and 30 damage to a benched. That's really good if you're going to take on people who run a lot of Stage 2s because they have evolutionary basics. What I mean by evolutionary basics is there are basics that evolve. They're not like a legendary basic, they're not like an EX basic. They're going to turn in other things. And these things usually have like low HP. So you can use Night Spear in conjunction with Pokemon Catcher and things like that to set up one turn 2 KOs. That's what I'm going to call them, where you can effectively take up to like 4 prize cards if you can KO 2 EXs in one turn. That's a big deal. Like, you saw the Pig go down and there's now damage on my Reshiram. And that's all in the first turn. My setup is completely screwed over by that first turn Night Spear. So that's what Darkrai has going for it. It's pretty quick to set up, particularly with Smeargle. It's not going to be a huge problem when format changes because Smeargle goes bye-bye, but it's really quick to set up. It can snipe away or knock out most basics, unless you got like one of these big healthy basics. It's going to do a fair chunk of damage to them at any rate, so you can hamper someone's setup or just donk them completely. The next thing is that Dark Cloak free retreat ability. Very fun. And that's what makes it so good, is the fact you can set up really quickly, start doing big damage. You can 2-hit KO most, in fact, you can 2-hit KO just about anything. Most EXs these days have 180 or 170 HP, so Darkrai is going to be doing 90 per turn. Darkrai also runs the great benefit of being a basic. You can attach an Eviolite to it and take 20 less damage. And that's going to be important later on when you start thinking about things that can counter Darkrai. You can also attach Darklight to it and do 20 more damage, which means that you can now do 110 damage to it. I suppose Darkrai's big weakness is, well, not its biggest weakness. One of its weaknesses is that not many things are weak to darkness, so you're not going to be getting those big one-hit KOs from the ×2 weakness. Instead, you're just going to be doing a fair chunk of damage. Its next weakness is literally its weakness. It's weak to fighting. So, things like Terrakion can come back and use a Retaliate for a one-hit KO on it. retaliate, doing 30 damage plus 60 if one of your Pokemon was KO'd the previous turn. So that's 90 damage roll up, 90 times 2, 180, bam. Darkrai X is gone, you take 2 prize cards, happy days. And that's where your Eviolite comes into play. If you've got an Eviolite in your Darkrai, you can save yourself from that one hit KO, maybe throw Retreat away and bring out another Darkrai. Or you can bring out the third part of this deck, the third Pokemon which is majorly involved here. And that's the Tornadus EX. Now Tornadus EX, I'm going to say, is specifically designed to counter fighting types, be it a Groudon EX, even though Groudon EX isn't that great because it's kind of hard to get the energies across unless you see some sort of Kling-Klang Matron, or just straight Terrakions. A lot of people tech in a Terrakion to counter Darkrai's. So you can throw in a couple of Tornadus EXs and go to town. Tornadus EX is also powerful because of the blow-through ability. It does 30 damage for 1 DCE, or 60 damage if you have a Stadium down, if anyone has a Stadium down. Or Power Blast, which does 100 damage for 3 Colorless Energy. Now the Colorless Energy is really important because that can be just freaking anything. And then you roll flip to see whether you discard energy. So if you flip tails, you discard an energy, and if you flip heads, you get to keep it. Not a big deal with the dark energy attach. You put a DCE, you put a dark energy in your Tornadus, say use Power Blast, do 100 damage. 100 damage is pretty good, man. That's a fair chunk of people's health. So you do 100 damage, yep, happy days. You flip tails, Darkness energy goes to the discard. Worst case scenario is you can just Dark Patch it onto another Darkrai. Bada bing, bada boom. Tornadus EX, also another basic. So that's Eviolite. Yay, minus 20 damage again. So against a fighting/ground type, Tornadus EX has a huge advantage, particularly with Eviolite, of taking 40 less damage, and still can, smack on for 100. And worst case scenario is you're just going to fuel up another Darkrai. So that's where you put in the Tornadus EX. And personally, I really hate that giant green flying genie. It's just annoying. Overall, the deck works really well and is incredibly popular, to be honest. And I don't know, there's not much more I can say about it. I could talk more about the gameplay, like what I'm doing right here, which is trying to knock out a Darkrai because I'm just petty like that. I don't like to give my opponent a flawless victory. I like to take at least a couple of prize cards off them. But other than that, not really much to talk about. I suppose I could talk about how I've not been able to get an Emboar out this entire game, because as soon as I do, it gets catch it up and then Night Speed away, or it's on the bench there and then just gets two turn KO'd from the Night Spear 30 damage snipe, which is awesome, by the way, because I can't use the rare candy or even straight up evolve that thing. My portable bacon just gets knocked out. Other than that, I don't know. I could talk about Entei, but this really isn't the greatest example of how Entei can be used. I suppose there's not really much to go on. I'll just talk about Darkrai. You can see the Dark Claw here. Yay, Dark Claw. An extra 20 damage into my Entei here. And yeah, it's fun. It's freaking fun to be playing against this deck. Not many weaknesses for Darkrai alone, and then you can just take in a Tornadus EX to counter it, or you can just run Tornadus EX on its not on its own. You use Darkrai in conjunction with it, but you can use Tornadus EX by itself as a strong attacker. Look at me here. Breeze down on one prize card, and I'm debating whether to use a heavy ball. I'm like, no, there's not much point. I can't knock out that Darkrai before I go down. So instead I just catch up a Smeargle and take it out. And there's me just preempting knocking me out. Anyway, we're coming to the end of the gameplay. Yeah, I'm not really going to say much more about it. Have a nice day, have fun.